Hello and welcome to NJ Thrive's Small Business Webinars. My name is Uzma Sheikh. Today is Tuesday, April 30th. You are attending one of our weekly webinars created to help New Jersey small business owners start, grow, and thrive. I hope all of you who are joining us today are doing well. Thank you for joining us. We always appreciate your support. I am here as a consultant of NJSBDC, and NJSBDC stands for New Jersey Small Business Development Centers Network. We are a statewide program powered by the SBA, which stands for Small Business Administration, and partners to help small businesses in New Jersey with three main things. And those things are no-cost small business consulting, training and events starting at $0, and exclusive small business resources. The map that you see here on the right is the state of New Jersey, of course, with all the counties, and the little SBDC logos are where our 10 regional centers are located. And that is where you'll find our partnerships with educational institutions. So if you ever are interested in attending one of our events that is hosted in person, or if you are ever interested in where the location is, visit njsbdc.com. and you will find the location of the regional center. The webinar that you are attending here today is how to register your business, is part of the webinar series actually, which is how to register your business with our support at no cost. This was created 6-7 months ago to provide startup assistance to help New Jersey's aspiring entrepreneurs as there was a need. And ever since then, this webinar series has grown a lot. All right, so April 28th to May 4th, we are celebrating National Small Business Week. So happy National Small Business Week to everyone, all the small businesses or all the small businesses to be. This happens annually. And this year, the theme of National Small Business Week is building on America's small business boom. So as one of the premier resources here in the state of New Jersey as NJSBDC, we're very proud and that in the 46 years that we have been in existence, we have been one of the go-to resources for the small business community here in New Jersey. All right, and hopefully we will continue to be with your support. All right, so what is on the agenda? We have a couple of headlines to go through. I will go through them very briefly, and then we have the presentation from our speaker and then a Q&A session. These small business headlines of the week are just some things that we think are important for small business owners to know. So we like to share them. I will go through them very briefly and then share the links so you can view them on your own time. While I do this, feel free to go in the chat and let us know where you're from, what you do, or what you plan to do with your small business, any information that you'd like to share, and feel free to network. So this is a press release from the SBA, Small Business Administration. We recommend that you always go in to check sba.gov, whether it's weekly, biweekly, and then check it out. A lot of the news articles that we share come from SBA and also NJEDA. So if we miss something, then we highly recommend that you check it out. So Biden-Harris administration awards record-breaking $178 billion in federal procurement opportunities to small businesses. 10 federal agencies earned A+ in SBA's annual scorecard released during National Small Business Week, published just yesterday. So this is the scorecard results, which measures how well federal agencies meet their small business contracting goals each year. So the administration exceeded its fiscal year 2023 small business contracting goal of 23%, awarding at an all-time high of 28.4% of the contract dollars to small businesses. That is always good news. Let's see. And these are the highlights of the overall performance of the federal government, which is the SDB spending exceeded its annual goal, set 12%, record-breaking $76.2 billion to SDBs. Service-disabled veteran-owned small businesses spending exceeded 3% goal. Historically underutilized business zones, which are called hub zones, were awarded $17.5 billion, etc. Women-owned received $30.9 billion in federal contracting, expanding access to federal contracting. This is showing what more is being done to assist all the businesses. All right. So that is one of our press releases. This is also a press release from NJEDA, New Jersey Economic Development Authority. Everyone attending here should always know that NJEDA should always keep tabs on NJEDA, their news website, their page. All right, so NJEDA is opening applications for the 2024 Technology Business Tax Certificate Transfer Program, commonly known as the Net Operating Loss (NOL) program, on Wednesday, May 1st. That is really tomorrow. And this allows early stage technology and life sciences companies in New Jersey to sell a percentage of their net operating losses and unused research R&D tax credits to unrelated profitable corporations for cash. That's very interesting. So if you are an early stage technology, or if you know a company that is like that, then definitely pass on this information for them. When, of course, tomorrow at 12 a.m. closes applications on Thursday, June 30th at 11:59 p.m. And there will be informational session webinar on May 9th at noon. To register, click on that website when this link is shared. Third is from business.nj.gov. This is the official site of the state of New Jersey related to all sorts of business, small business. They share all their regulation updates, rule updates, grants, and resources. Another great resource for small business owners to check. The new small business manual from NJBAC, New Jersey Business Action Center, another great small business resource designed to provide support and guidance for small business owners and entrepreneurs. Free resource offers a wealth of information on planning, launching, operating, and growing your business in New Jersey. This is where you'll find the manual. And when you click on download the manual, it's taking a couple of seconds, forget it. All right, so those are the headlines of the week. Of course, I will share the links, as soon as I'm done screen sharing. Some housekeeping rules to keep in mind: if you have questions, put them in the Q&A box that's right next to the chat box. Complete a brief survey to receive the speaker slides, and this webinar is being recorded, so if you have to leave midway or you want to just give it a watch later on again, feel free to do so when it's available on our YouTube channel as well as our video library. So I see a comment from Stephanie. Hi, Stephanie. Thank you for sharing. You are the founder of OK Music Group. That's awesome. Thank you for joining us today. All right, we have Vanessa Schwartz, NJSBDC Start-Up Consultant, joining us today for our session number 24, Starting Your Business, Essential Registration Steps. Vanessa, thank you for joining us. The stage is yours. I will stop sharing and go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much, Uzma. I really appreciate the introduction. I'm going to share my screen. Just bear with me for a moment. Okay. All right. So, thank you for joining. Basically, it's great that you're taking the time to educate yourself about your business or about starting a business. We always like to say, whether you're interested in pursuing a side hustle or you are looking to take that hobby to the next level, or a professional in your own right, in your own sector, and decide that entrepreneurship now is the right move for you, it's important to understand the components to creating a business and the steps you might take and the resources that are available to you. So,
Vanessa, if I can just interrupt you for a moment.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly well. I am seeing your screen on your email. So if you can go to the tab where you're sharing the slides.
Ah, okay, thank you. Thought I did that right. Is that better?
Okay, there it is, full screen. Yep.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you so much, Uzma. All right. So this is the slides. These are the slides. Okay. So getting started. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about business structures and what that means, the different business structures that are available to you when you form a business. And then we're going to talk about a little bit about the formation process and the registration process. Those are two separate and distinct processes that are required in New Jersey. And we'll more specifically delve into the limited liability company and how to go about putting that together. But we will address a few of the different business structures that are available to you so you understand the difference. And state regulations. New Jersey has some regulatory items to be aware of with respect to your business formation and type of business that you might be joining, as well as taxes. Funding and cash management are also very important when it comes to getting ready to launch that business. We'll address some of those issues as well. Additional needs that might come into play when you're getting started. And also, what are the next opportunities? What are the next steps? How can we grow? And how can you take advantage of resources in the state, in particular, the NJSBDC, to assist you through your journey? So the first business structure I want to address is the sole proprietorship. Sole proprietorship is really the most simple, basic business structure that you can delve into. It basically is you, the person, deciding to take either a hobby or a business idea and begin to transact, meaning if you have goods to sell or services to sell, you are now going to engage in the public and you're going to move forward with doing that. But at the same time, you'd like to go under a trade name. You'd like to call the business something. And so with the sole proprietorship, you can apply for a trade name, and that is done at your local county clerk's office. Every county has a county clerk and has a method in which to apply for a trade name. It's relatively inexpensive, about $50 or $60 to create a trade name. The name will be unique in the county, and you'll be allowed to use either your social security number or a federal tax ID number to identify that business. So what I mean by that is when we transact business, we are accountable to pay income taxes on any income that we receive. And for the purposes of a sole proprietorship, your social security number is perfectly fine to use for your tax ID, or you may go to the IRS website and apply for no cost for a EIN. That stands for Employer Identification Number. The EIN is a tax ID that will be assigned to your sole proprietorship. What's nice about that is that it avoids having your social security number flying about and out there, because very often when you're conducting business, you might be asked for a tax ID. So using that EIN is a good way to protect yourselves, but it's not required. When you're a sole proprietor, your personal bank account is perfectly acceptable to use for your business. So if you transact business, you sell goods, you sell services, you collect your payment, you can deposit it into a personal bank account and no problem. When the time comes for paying income taxes, very simple, easy tax filing process. You can use a Schedule C attachment to your personal income tax return, meaning you don't need a separate tax return for the business. the income is passed through to your personal tax return, and that Schedule C attachment is what's utilized for the filing. There is absolutely no legal separation between the assets of the owner and the business. So unfortunately, the downside to your sole proprietorship is that you have no liability protection. You're acting on behalf of yourself and under a trade name, but there's no legal separation between you and the business. So moving on, after the sole proprietorship, the next types of business structures that we look at are more considered business entities. Business entities stand alone. They're separate from you personally, and they will provide a certain level of liability protection. Now, the LLC is the next, I guess, level up in terms of security and protection, in terms of the separation between yourself and that business, the limited liability company. Again, a fairly simple filing process. Instead of dealing with the county, you are now going to be operating and forming this business through the state. The process is through the state portal. It is now a unique name within the state that is provided to you. You form using the online application through the NJ portal. The cost for the state filing is $125. There is a small processing fee. And then on top of the initial filing fee, it does cost $75 a year to maintain that LLC. So you do have annual dues in order to keep the LLC in good standing. And in this case, versus the sole proprietor, you are now required to apply for a tax ID number from the IRS. You will get an EIN from the IRS website. Does not cost anything to get that EIN. And that EIN, that tax ID, will be assigned to the legal LLC and will match in terms of the name. So the name on the certificate of formation, the business name, the business legal name, the business entity will match the legal business name on the IRS application for the EIN, and that tax ID now is assigned to the business structure. You are required to have a separate business bank account. You are no longer permitted to deposit income from your business transactions into your personal bank account. This is what helps keep the protection, helps keep the assets separated, and helps with the ability to provide that limited liability. You would transact your business, deposit the monies into your business bank account, and then as the owner of the business, you can withdraw as necessary to either pay yourself or to help fund some of the business expenses, and that would be handled through the business banking. Now, in terms of taxation, the LLCs have a very flexible tax protocol in that you are permitted to choose how you wish to be taxed. A LLC owner, if you're one member, member means owner in LLC terminology. If you're one member, single member LLC, you are defaulted to and allowed to basically file as if you were a sole proprietor. Doesn't mean you're a sole proprietor, you're a single member LLC, but your tax filing is the same as if you were a sole proprietor. And that's kind of a nice thing because it's, as we remember, the Schedule C, very simple tax filing process. Just have to fill that out at the end of the year and attach that to your personal income tax return. If you're more than one member, if you're a multi-member LLC, that means that you would normally default to the Form 1065. Form 1065s are usually they're designated for tax filings for partnerships. It doesn't mean that you're a partnership. It just means that you are filing taxes as if you were a partnership. Partnerships have different legal connotations for what that means in terms of its structure and setup. You would be a multi-member LLC, but using the Form 1065 partnership tax filing. The other option that LLC owners have, whether you're a single member or a multi-member, is that you can, at a certain point in your business journey, choose to be taxed as a corporation. That's the Form 1120. Why would you want to be taxed as a corporation? Well, there are reasons. We'll talk a little bit about why that might make sense, but these are all accounting issues. These are all accounting questions. Your business structure is that of the LLC, and what that entails, but you are permitted for taxation purposes to choose various tax strategies depending on what makes the most sense for your company. The corporation, as you might imagine, is the most protected of the business entities. It's definitely the most regulated. It's the most structured. It has the strongest liability protection of what we're talking about today, but it requires more. It requires more on your part. It requires more, it's more expensive to operate. It's more expensive for tax purposes. You are required to establish bylaws as a corporate entity. You would be required to create a board of directors. There would be shareholder meetings, and the tax filing for a corporation is a separate tax return, and you would be subject to a corporate tax rate. Now, this is the C Corp. This is what we normally refer to as the traditional corporation, C Corp, where when you get to your net income, that corporation is going to be subject to the corporate tax rate. Whatever is left is shareholder profit. And then you as the shareholder would then be on the hook to pay taxes on your dividends. So it's often referred to as a double taxation, which large companies bear. But when you're a small company, that can be cumbersome. Nobody as a small company needs to pay double taxes. So there are methods to alleviate that, which we'll get to. But one of the things I want to say is that sometimes you might question, well, why would a small company want to form a company and incorporate versus the LLC or a sole proprietorship? Because of the strong liability protection, sometimes it's necessary, or it makes the most sense for a business to incorporate. There are certain industries where that might be more commonplace. You might see it more, perhaps trucking or home builders or general contractors. And not to say there aren't general contractors who are LLCs, not at all. But when you're dealing with certain business types or certain types of processes to raise money, a corporation allows for issuing of shares. Might be easier to raise money in terms of getting more equity ownership in by issuing shares. There are perhaps compelling reasons why a small business might want to incorporate. One of the things I want to say, though, is that whether you're the sole proprietor working through your county clerk's office, whether you're the LLC forming on the state website, creating that LLC, or whether you're incorporating through the state website and becoming a corporation, any which way you go, you are required by New Jersey to register that business entity. And even as a sole proprietor, if you choose to go that route, you are required to register that trade name, doing business as, with New Jersey Division of Revenue and Enterprise Services. And that's because of tax purposes. So in any event, when you're creating the actual business, remember that in New Jersey, it's a separate step to register the business. It's not sufficient just to create an LLC and say, okay, I have an LLC, I'm ready to go. No, you have to then do the NJ reg and go ahead and make sure that you fill that out. It doesn't cost anything to register at all, but it is a necessary step. And you get a business registration certificate, and then you're free to transact business. Okay. So with the corporation, if you decide to incorporate, you do have the option as a small business in particular to file for a subchapter S under the IRS. What does that do? Well, it is, and this is your S corp. So you might hear the S corp being, thrown around. An S corporation isn't necessarily a type of business entity so much as it is a tax designation. So you're either a corporation that decides to become an S corp for tax purposes, or we'll talk about you can be an LLC that decides. Remember, we had said LLCs can choose to be taxed as corporations. Well, in this case, they choose to be taxed as S corps. So they file to be taxed as a corporation and then file for that subchapter S. And there are reasons. Certainly for the corporation, you can understand it. You no longer, as an S corp, are subject to the double taxation. Your income is now passed through straight to the shareholders, and you are, even though I should say, there are some stipulations. Not all corporations are allowed to file for subchapter S, but if you're 100 or fewer shareholders, as long as you don't have preferred stock, it's just common stock is allowed, then you can be a corporation that chooses this tax designation in order to avoid the double taxation. Now, if you're an LLC, why would an LLC want to be taxed as an S corp? Well, an LLC chooses to be an LLC for various reasons: the flexibility, the cost, the ease of formation. But sometimes there are tax advantages to be taxed as an S corp, and that's because when you get to a certain point in income as an LLC owner, you are on the hook to pay self-employment taxes, and sometimes at a certain point that can be quite cumbersome. The S corp tax status allows an LLC owner to become an employee of his or her own company. And by doing that, by being put on payroll, it changes the income. It changes the tax dynamics and allows for you as the owner to have payroll with taxes withdrawn from your pay as an employee. And at the end of the day, it can be more tax advantageous for certain LLCs to choose to be taxed this way as opposed to as either a partnership or as a sole proprietor. These are conversations you would have with your accountant, and you would determine if at any given point that would make the most sense. Now, we're going to focus a little more on the LLC. So with all of this, the NJSBDC is here to help you through this entire process. We will talk you through it, brainstorm, help you decide what might be the best business structure for you. And then when it comes to actually forming the company, you don't have to go out and pay a third party. We're happy to walk you through the formation. We're going to talk specifically now about the LLC, but whether it's a corporation or an LLC or a sole proprietor, we can walk you through those steps. The LLC is the most commonly used business entity that we deal with as small business counselors. And I would say that we want you to get it right the first time. The LLC is not a complicated formation process, although there could be questions when you're going through it, and we get that. So even though you think it might be simpler or more, easy for you to hire someone to take care of it for you. What you're missing out on is understanding the process, understanding the steps, understanding what is needed, what is not needed. And we want you to feel comfortable doing this yourself as business owners. It's meant to be done by yourself. The portal is meant to be user-friendly, and we will walk you through that formation process, and we will walk you through the registration process, and that's at no cost to you. The only cost will be the state filing fees, which you will pay directly to New Jersey. We will also help you get your EIN. Remember, getting an EIN does not cost anything. So it takes about an hour. We can sit with you, do it over the phone, and we can get you formed and registered and done. We want to make sure you understand all the terminology. We want you to be comfortable with the portal, where to go when you need things for your business. We'll go over all the obligations and the requirements to be LLC owners, and discuss ways in which you can keep your documents organized, what you're going to need, and also about your bookkeeping. And this is a whole slide just dedicated to the issue of registration. Once again, we cannot forget to register the business. If you did go ahead and hire a LegalZoom or a third party to form your business, you have to make sure that they registered your business as well. And most often, those third parties do not register the business. They leave it up to you to take care of the registration piece. And very often, the client doesn't even realize that that's a step that still has to be taken. So we want to tell you that if you did go through someone else, or you did do it on your own and you're not quite sure, did I register? Did I not register? What does that even mean? Make an appointment and we'll look it up and we'll see. And if not, we'll walk you through the registration process. Okay. One other topic is the new federal requirement. Some of you may have heard that LLCs are now required nationwide to file a beneficial ownership information report. And that is through that website right there, Financial Crimes Network. You'll get access to all the links and the slides once you fill out the survey at the end of the presentation. But now one additional requirement is that when all said and done and you're properly registered, LLCs are required to log in to this portal and provide the business information and who the owners are and proof of ID. So when you form a LLC, the things that you will need to have, well, you'll need a unique business name in the state of New Jersey. That's the link. You could search for name availability. You'll need your EIN, as we discussed. There'll be some classification codes that are going to be required for statistical purposes to keep track of all the new businesses that are being formed. There's a New Jersey industry code. They let you look it up. You can figure out what best applies to you. A NAICS code, that's a national code. You can have multiple codes that actually apply to your LLC. Under the LLC umbrella, you can run multiple businesses, but for the purposes of the registration, the state just really wants to know the one that most applies to what you're doing. You'll need a registered agent. A registered agent is somebody who is going to be responsible for all correspondence between the company and the state. You're allowed to be your own registered agent. You're allowed to be that representative and provide your information, your address, or you can hire somebody. There are registered agents for hire out there. Cost depends on who you might choose and what services you might add on. Really at a minimum for the LLC, you just really need at a minimum the ability to use the address of a registered agent for the registration purposes and for the formation purposes. Really, There are other services that registered agents might offer. Whether or not you need that as an LLC or whether it applies to you, just be careful. If you have questions about that, I suggest you contact a counselor at the SBDC, and we can kind of tell you where to be careful of, where you might not need additional services that they're trying to sell you. If you're more than one person, you are in an LLC, multi-member LLC, you are required to have an operating agreement. It doesn't have to be notarized. It doesn't necessarily have to be handled by a lawyer, but there are certain items that need to be expressed in an operating agreement. What is your capital contribution into the business? How are you splitting the profits? How will you distribute the assets if the business were to be dissolved? What is your role? What is your responsibility? The bank will require an operating agreement when you go to open that business bank account. And if you are dealing with multiple people, and there is any question, I just think that this is one example of when maybe hiring a lawyer or having a lawyer look at it is not necessarily a bad idea, because we are talking about money. We are talking about relationships. So it's just something to keep in mind. The cost, you'll need a debit or credit card for the cost. Again, that's $125 to form an LLC in New Jersey, and you'll need the names and addresses and social security numbers and what percent ownerships you're going to allocate to everybody. For that goes on the registration side of it. You'll need to know how you wish to be taxed. So this is now something that we've already discussed, and you're aware that as an LLC, and you're a single member LLC, you can choose the Schedule C tax filing. If you're more than one person, the 1065, and then either way, if you're a single or multi-member, you have the option to be taxed as a corporation if that's what you want to do. So even if you start one way, doesn't mean you can't change it down the road. Very often this does change, and that is something that you can do with your accountant or dealing with the IRS prior to the next tax year to make the change in how you wish to be taxed. You'll need to know if your sale of your goods or services are subject to state sales tax. Do you have to collect tax on your transactions? Are your goods taxable? If you're selling consumer products, most consumer products or goods are considered taxable, but there are exemptions, as you know. Clothing and is exempt from sales tax. But there's also exceptions. Maybe a blouse would be not taxable, but a belt would be. So we have a booklet that goes through all the different items, whether it be services or goods in New Jersey, of what's taxable, what isn't. And we'll share that link with you. It's later on in the presentation. But basically, if you are going to be responsible for collecting state sales tax, you're going to have to file that quarterly. Most likely it's a quarterly tax filing where you will remit any sales tax collected over the course of the quarter to the state. This has nothing to do with income or income tax. This is state sales tax. And if there's additional registrations or certifications that you are required to have in your industry, we'll make sure that you're aware of them and give you the resources to look up and see what agency to contact regarding any licenses. Like, for example, general contractor and a handyman, in those industries, New Jersey, you're required an additional registration through Consumer Affairs. And, home health aid is required to have a license. I believe that's through the, I'm drawing a blank there. But we have the Business Action Center through New Jersey. We have the state agency that goes through all the different licenses that's required for different industries. So we'll be able to show you that and make sure you're aware if there's anything in addition that you might need. And you'll need to identify a bank where you'll like to open your business bank account, preferably with no monthly fees. Small businesses, we don't need to pay monthly fees if possible, if you could avoid that. So some banks will provide you with free business banking if, say, you have a certain minimum threshold, or maybe if you open a personal checking account, or maybe if you use your debit card 3 times a month, you can avoid those monthly fees. Here's some links that you'll get with the slides, such as the business licenses and additional registrations required, the booklet for the sales tax requirements. Remember, as self-employed individuals, you now going to be on the hook potentially for filing estimated income taxes. So even though we talked about how you choose to be taxed, and every year come tax filing, you put you submit your tax filing and your paperwork. Remember, now that you're not having withholdings through a paycheck, as self-employed individuals, the federal and state governments don't wish to wait till the end of the year to get all their taxes. So once you're in a flow of things, you will be required to pay estimated income taxes. And so both at the IRS level as well as the state level, there's ways to set that up. Certainly something you can ask with your accountant. If you end up paying too much over the course of the year, you would get money back when you file at the end of the year. Or if you haven't paid enough, you'll owe. But the last thing as a small business you really want, and nor is it allowed, to have your entire tax burden be paid for the entire year come April 15th. And then questions about payroll. You have the option to start a payroll or hire workers through independent contracting terms, which is your W-9 and 1099. And if you have questions about insurance or workers' compensation, we can provide resources and discuss that with you as well. And when you're getting started, just of FYI of what the SBDC can help with, if you have startup cash needs, need to do a startup analysis of how you need to open those doors and get that business started, we can work through that worksheet with you. What are you going to need to operate the business? What are your own personal budget considerations in terms of your own investment? Do you need additional sources of capital? Will you need to borrow money? We can assist with the lending. Sorry if it's loud. Lending, if you have questions and want to work with a lender in terms of maybe getting an SBA loan, something we can assist you with as well. Basic financial statements, helping you understand the differences between an income statement, a balance sheet, cash flow, bookkeeping questions. These are all the types of things that we would like to mentor on and assist with. And we're always going to be honest and tell you when we think you need to get out there and seek some professional services. We may have accounting backgrounds as counselors, but we're not your accountant. We don't provide any accounting advice, personal advice, legal advice. That's something that would really be, there are times as a business that it would make the most sense for you to seek professional services, and we would let you know when we thought that was important. Always good to talk to an insurance agent, have them try to sell you what they want to sell you, but educate yourself as they're trying to tell you what they think you might need, and you can compare notes and you can see what works best. Always happy to bounce that off us as well, but insurance is important for small business. And again, back with the lenders, we can introduce you to lenders, make introductions, prepare you, do loan prep, get those financial forecasts organized, your business plan written. If you have specific questions about marketing and social media, At some point, that might make sense to go out there and try to find someone to assist you, maybe even a college student. But we do have counselors here on staff who are more focused in that area. So if you'd like to talk to one of those types of counselors first, that's an option. And we're just, basically here to be business mentors. And if we don't have the answers, we like to provide the resources for you. Other things that we can assist with as you form and register your business, if you're interested in procurement and seeking government contracts, we can help you get your New Jersey state certifications. That's the small business enterprise certification, the woman-owned business, the minority-owned business. There's veteran, there's disabled veteran, and there's LGBTQ plus certifications for businesses that are looking to certify in these areas and perhaps look into contracts that are either government driven, federal, state, or even large corporations that receive public funding or in their own right, in their own bylaws are required to and would like to do business and provide procurement opportunities to small businesses. The state certifications do help. Again, SBA lending, NJEDA assistance, and our programming, just like this webinar right now, we offer so many. We have a library of topics that you can go back and review and just be a resource for you. Okay, so with that, I'm going to turn it over to questions. But before I even do that, I'm just going to explain this slide. The top is if you're not in business right now at all and want to form and register a business, you can scan this top code or go to this link when you get the slides. You kind of get directed more efficiently to the startup people. If you're already in business and you would like help or questions about the millions of other things that we may have discussed today, or not millions, but other items, you can scan right over here and be brought to your home center, your home base, get assigned to a counselor, and hopefully get your questions answered.
All right, so it doesn't look like we have that many questions today, Vanessa.
Okay.
But I just get into that one question that we do have right now. And if you have literally any burning questions to ask Vanessa, please put them in the Q&A box, and we'll make sure to address them. Just a couple of reminders, if you would like to receive a recording of this, it will be available as this webinar is being recorded, it will be available on our YouTube channel. So you can just go into YouTube and then type NJSBDC webinars. The link has been provided in the chat. I will share it again. Or it is available on njsbdc.com, one of our web pages. The specific link has also been shared. In addition, these slides that Vanessa just went through, they are available when you complete a brief survey. So it's a Google Form survey. All you have to do is just fill it out. It's really for feedback. Any feedback, good or bad, that you have for us, please feel free to share. And yeah, once you complete it, you'll receive the link to Google Slides. So let me just quickly go into this question. We still just have one question, so I guess we can conclude after this. Tanya asks, what constitutes as a small business?
Well, there's different definitions for small business. I mean, the SBA has been known to say, under 500 employees, although some there could be exceptions to that as well. For New Jersey, I believe that holds through when you're looking to get that small business enterprise certification, probably under $1 million in sales, roughly. Do you agree, Uzma, from your
Yeah, that's what
research?
that's what I've generally seen. SBA's definition is fewer than 500 employees. And then, as you just mentioned, some define it as less than $1 million in revenue. But in our office and in our community, we go with SBA's definition, which is fewer than 500 employees. So yeah, that's how we would constitute a small business in our line of work. All right, so that was really only one question that we had. So I
All right,
guess
great.
we can move on. Let me
Uh-huh.
just quickly share my screen. I would like to show our audience that we have some things that our homepage actually. That's what I want to quickly share. All right. So this is njsbdc.com. This is our webpage. Right as you go on, you will see this red button for, request counseling. And in order for you to do that, you have to put in your email and select your county of New Jersey. For counseling at NJSBC, you do have to be a business owner and or a resident in New Jersey. So you have to select a county here where you are located. It is a little different for our tech team, which I don't want to get into right now, but for our tech team, you don't have to be based in New Jersey, but that doesn't apply to our audience today. Unlikely for it to apply. So our homepage, we have a ton of things, as this is a great resource. So for counseling, events, statewide events, the event schedule that we have, and resources and data, all the tools that you may need, which is what we call our resource hub. So whether it's federal business resources like SBA, SCORE, USA.gov, SEM.gov, Treasury, any of the links, SBA business plan, templates, things like that. We also have New Jersey business resources, which one of them is business.nj.gov, which I had shared links for, local for our 10 regional centers, any of the tri-state resources that may be relevant. And here are some of the incubators, things like that. So really, I find it very helpful, and we always recommend that you go to our website. The next thing that I would like to show is this. If you go to events, NJ Thrive Small Business Webinars, this is where our video library is located. So anything that you would like to rewatch or anything that you missed and you would like to go, we've been doing this for a couple of years now, and definitely sign up for a newsletter. So if you load more and you just keep clicking load more, then you will have tons and tons of webinars come up on all sorts of topics, marketing, procurement, any certifications, eco-friendly small business success, one of the things like that. And then statewide events, also want to quickly show this. This is for our entire network. Remember that map that I showed earlier? Then this is related to that. So all the 10 regional centers that we have, they show us, this is where all their events show up. Whether it's online or it's in person, it will tell you. It will give you the location. Whether it's free or it has a fee, it will also tell you. All right. And one of the other things is that we also provide counseling and sometimes events and workshops in Spanish. So if you would like to speak to a Spanish speaking consultant, let us know when you reach out to us. Or if you'd like to attend Spanish events or workshops in Spanish, then you can look for them at this page. All right, so that is what I want to show you. Next thing, upcoming webinar quickly. As we are celebrating National Small Business Week this week until May 2nd, excuse me, not May 2nd, May 4th, we do have a webinar on May 2nd. May is really tomorrow, actually. So celebrating National Small Business Week 2024, Grow Your Small Business with NJEDA grants and loans. That is happening this Thursday, May 2nd from 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. If this is relevant to you, if it is not relevant to you, please attend or refer a friend or a family member, pass this on to them. And attend. See you on Thursday. We've helped 15,000 plus more businesses grow. We are here to support you, and we will continue to support you. Thank you for your support as well. And I look forward to seeing you all on Thursday. Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you all for attending. Bye. Take care.